thank you to Walker, to Zach. Zach, I didn't tell you this, but the last guy who tried to read that passage passed out halfway through. Good job. There are two ways to get wet. You can run and jump off the dock, or you can take the long, challenging hike through the mountains, and, without you knowing it, the mist and perspiration will leave you drenched. There I was, standing in the middle of the woods, rock in hand. It was 10 p.m. on a cold fall night in northern Sweden. I could have sworn that my teammates were right behind me, but in fact, I was alone and on the hunt for someone. Just minutes ago, we had been on our team bus. We had just won a game against a team whose name I could not pronounce, and we were about to embark on a 6-hour ride home, watching movies in a language I did not understand. What a game it had been. More than the play on the ice, it was the fans that were the spectacle. Turns out those hooligans who like to fight at soccer games, they enjoy fighting at hockey games as well. This game had required the police, decked out in riot gear, to remove all fans from the arena while play was going on. That would happen later in the season when my parents came to visit, but it was close. After the game, we left the ice amidst shouting and a few firecrackers being thrown at us. We were quick to shower and hustled to the bus. It was only 10 minutes into the drive when I heard the sound of shattering glass. I turned to look behind me and saw our captain with blood streaming down his face. The window next to his seat was completely gone, and there was a brick in the aisle. Turns out the opposing fans were not too thrilled about the loss. As you can imagine, there was a lot of commotion at that point. My teammates were jumping out of their seats and yelling commands I could not understand. I, of course, followed them off the bus, grabbed a rock, and took off into the woods in search of the hooligans. Once I realized how alone I was in those woods, I asked myself, what am I doing here? This was the first of many times that year that I would ask myself that question. What was I doing alone in a foreign country, away from almost everything I recognized? I couldn't even figure out what was milk at the grocery store. How was any of this going to help me reach my goal of becoming a professional hockey player? I had asked myself these questions before. I can remember during my sophomore year at boarding school when I found myself and my academic performance, or lack thereof, as the focus of a meeting between my parents, my teachers, my advisor, and my dean. What was I doing here? How is this helping me reach my goal of becoming a college athlete? Or how about the time while I was at UMass Amherst in my role as graduate assistant with the hockey team, when I found myself driving to Philadelphia and not to Boston where our games were that weekend. One of our players had been hurt in a recent game, and I was told that it was my job to take the player to Philly for surgery. I remember sitting alone in the hotel room, waiting for him to recover, wondering how this was helping me to become a better hockey coach. There had to be someone else to do this job. I should be with the team. In each of these situations, I was caught in a moment when I was worried about the final destination, or the goal, and I wanted to get there as quickly as possible. I do not think I'm alone in, at times, focusing only on the destination. Whether it's going to a top-ranked college, making the varsity team, or even getting a Salisbury diploma, many times we'd like the Amazon Prime option, a one-click order that delivers your goal in 1 to 3 business days. That's the jumping off the dock option. But when we only see the goal, we forget about the importance of the journey towards that goal. We miss opportunities along the way to learn more about ourselves. We seek ways to avoid challenges. We don't take care of the menial tasks. We don't value the people supporting us. We forget about the day right in front of us. But what about the long hike through the mountains? What about sticking with that challenging class, rather than just switching to an easier section? Wouldn't we learn more about ourselves and about our ability to persevere if we choose that route? What about making sure you do your job to the best of your ability, no matter how meaningless the task may seem, rather than spending so much time worrying about being promoted? And what happens if we do not reach the destination, or if that destination changes? I have always loved hockey. Ever since I was a little kid, it is all I wanted to do. I wanted to play, and I wanted to get better. In youth hockey, I would ask if I could stay after my practice to practice with the other age groups. In middle school, I can remember waking up early so that my dad could drive me to the gym before school. At boarding school, I wasted no time in skipping dances to go play pickup at the rink. I listened to my mentors and made the honor roll at boarding school, having been advised that you cannot work hard in just one area of your life. I dealt with frustration, injuries, and even learned to push myself well outside of my comfort zone. I was making the same sacrifices many of you make as you work towards your goals. But at the end of the day, I did not don the maize and blue of Michigan, nor the red and white of Boston University. And the Bruins still have not called me. So I did not reach the pinnacle of the sport. What was the point of all that effort? Why go through those moments of frustration and doubt? If it is only about the destination, then I guess I was a failure. But then I think about what I gained by striving to reach my goal. I learned a lot about attention to detail, preparation, discipline, staying in the present, self-evaluation, the importance of taking care of your teammates, and the laughs and adventures we had along the way. I could go on and on. It was the choice of the path that was the victory, and I gained tools that would help me along future journeys. Going back to that mountain analogy, without realizing it, my hockey journey had left me completely drenched. I was recently listening to an interview with Drew Bledsoe. Some of you may not know who Drew Bledsoe is, but you definitely know the name of the guy who took his job, Tom Brady. Bledsoe was a quarterback in the NFL for 14 years. He was a college All-American. He was a first overall pick in the NFL draft, the youngest player to play in the Pro Bowl, and he was a Super Bowl champion. During the interview, Drew was asked what his goals were growing up. Was it to play college football? No. Was it to be picked first overall? No. Was it to play in the NFL? No. How can a first overall pick not have playing in the NFL as one of his goals? Drew's parents had always stressed the importance of values rather than outcomes. So all of Drew's goals were tied to striving to be the best person he could become, no matter what he was doing. For example, some of his goals were and are: be a good friend, be the teammate you want others to be for you, be the first one to the job and the last one to leave. It was Drew's focus on the path and not the destination that brought him success in the NFL. And as his destinations changed, his focus on the steps right in front of him helped him become a successful businessman, a successful high school coach, and a successful family man. It isn't about the destination. It is all about the person you become on the path. I'm not saying you shouldn't have destinations or goals. In fact, it is important to have those destinations to give you direction. But make sure to embrace the journey. Find the purpose and the challenges faced. Invest yourself in the relationships you build along the way. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Do the mundane well, and make sure to enjoy a job well done. And if you ever find yourself alone in the woods of northern Sweden with a rock in your hand, know that it is part of your journey. And then do as I did. Know your role and get back on the bus. Thank you.